Good morning, everyone. My name is Harrison, and I'm joined today with Mai, Ryan, and Sam, and we are from the UQ Psychology team. And today we're here to talk to you about how we're going to improve the rate of successful referrals in the Adult Restorative Justice conferencing program. And so, as we learnt over the last few days, the process to referral is quite a complex one. There are many different parties, and they all communicate with each other in many different ways in order to get a successful referral all the way to the ARJC office. Now, we're going to crucially focus on two parties where we think our nudges will be their most effective: the police and the victim. And these two nudges are going to be an infographic and a letter to the victim.
Put yourself in George's shoes. She's a police officer at the Queensland Police Service. On a daily basis, she is burdened with a lot of paperwork to fill out and many cases to deal with. This means that she's more likely going to focus on System 1 thinking as opposed to slow and deliberative System 2 thinking. She's more likely to opt for routes that are available and familiar to her, which means she's less likely to seek out alternative justice pathways like restorative justice conferencing. And even if she does know about restorative justice conferencing, she's unlikely to opt for it because of something called time discounting, where you value short-term rewards, like resolving cases quickly, over long-term rewards, like reducing reoffending and satisfying victims. So for these reasons, it's easy to understand why only about 18% of referrals are made by police. And because of this, it suggests to us that this is a key area in which we can dramatically increase referral rates to the ARJC. And when we look at the diagram that we presented before, the police are in a key position to contact and to mediate with other parties that are associated with criminal matters. On Sunday, we had a talk by the beta team who showed us that they turned a 120-page document into a short one-page fact sheet to understand how the NBM system works. In addition, in medicine, they often use checklists and infographics to reduce errors in hospitals and save countless lives. And we use the same approach here with an infographic that looks something like this. This can be easily distributed by the ARJC, either via bail or in the emails. It's easy to use. It's a simple 5-stage process describing what is restorative justice, what are the benefits, who is eligible, and how to make a referral. It's also attractive because it outlines what are the benefits to the police officer in terms of saving money, which we frame in terms of a loss to take advantage of loss aversion. And we also instill in the police a sense of civic or moral duty in that it shows that the service means that victims are satisfied and there is far less reoffending. Lastly, we focus on clear and concrete calls to action. One, which refers to the second nudge, which Ryan will present, and the last, how a referral can be made. Where do they have to go to make a referral?
Right, so Sam's talked about ways to maybe increase referrals happening in the first place, but we've heard over the last few days that a key part when we're having this referral process go through is obtaining consent from people who are involved in that process, in particular the victims. So we know that only about 50% of victims consent to participate in restorative justice. It's not very good, right? So this is potentially a part that we might be able to have a real impact in. So when a victim is first invited to participate in restorative justice, they're likely receiving a phone call, perhaps from a police officer, which is stressful in and of itself, so they might not be in a good mind frame to agree to anything in particular. They might be receiving information about restorative justice for the very first time. It's unfamiliar, and they might be receiving information that's incomplete, so it's ambiguous. And they're understanding now restorative justice as being something alternative to the normal channel, right? So it already seems really difficult to do this thing. You're not poised to say yes to this. So our intervention is a foot in the door before we ask for consent. So before that phone call, a victim will receive this letter via email, mail, or even hard copy. It's personalized to them. And again, this is before we're asking them to do anything. It's just a foot in the door to give them a little bit more information about what restorative justice is. So we're introducing it, letting them know why it's good for them, emphasizing the fact that they'll have a voice and that they have control over the outcomes. And a key thing that we're doing with this is that you'll see right at the start of that letter. So the incident that you're involved in has been deemed as being appropriate for restorative justice. This is a normal channel for you. This is a status quo. And we've also included an opt-out at the end. If after reading this, you don't want to do it, it's not suitable, then you can choose to opt out. Now, it's not a strict opt-out. We understand that this is voluntary, which is why we've also made it clear down the bottom of our letter that, of course, this is voluntary, and again, this is not opting them into the system automatically. That happens later. This is pre-consent foot in the door to give them information that makes them more familiar with restorative justice at that consent stage, that reduces ambiguity, and that increases the ease with which to do restorative justice. So what do I need to do? Nothing for now. We'll contact you later with more information. We'll organise it for you. It's attractive, it's easy, it's familiar, it's not ambiguous anymore.
Yep, so I'm going to talk about how we can measure whether our intervention is successful. So to assess the effectiveness of the infographic, we'll be looking at the rate of referrals coming from the police officers. And to assess the effectiveness of the email, we'll be looking at the rate of consent coming from the victim. So we can run randomized control trials where we look at all the police precincts in Queensland associated with the ARJC. We then can randomly assign half of those precincts to the experimental group where they'll receive the information, including the infographics and the email, and the control groups will be those who do not receive these information. So if our intervention is successful, then we'd expect those in the experimental group to make more referrals to the ARJC, as well as the victim giving more consent. So we believe that our intervention is effective because it will increase the rate of referrals and overall increase the likelihood of successful conferencing.
So in summary, our team has developed 2 nudges in order to increase the successful referral rate in the adult conferencing system. The first nudge is an infographic for the police, the second being a letter to the victim. And we are confident that these nudges will be effective as they are evidence-based, they are cheap, they're easily to implement and scale in the current system, and even though we have designed for them to coherently work together, we believe they are both independently flexible and open to adaptation. Thank you.